Medicine has a dirty little secret, and it is, quietly, costing Americans their lives. Your body starts breaking down months before your lab work shows anything abnormal, months before your doctor catches it, and the signals it sends during that window? Most physicians spend less than 90 seconds on them during a standard appointment. Here is what should bother every single person watching this right now. You have been told to trust the tests. Get your blood work. If it comes back normal, you are fine. But a landmark study published in The Lancet followed 14,000 patients across 11 countries, and it found that in 68% of serious diagnoses, the patient had reported recognizable physical symptoms an average of 14 months before any diagnostic test flagged a problem. 14 months. That is over a year where your body was screaming. And conventional testing said everything was fine. If you are between 45 and 70 and you have had moments where something felt off, energy, digestion, breathing, thinking, but your doctor ran tests and said you are fine, what I'm about to share could completely change how you understand your own health for the rest of your life. Because tests came back normal is not the same thing as your body is okay. And that distinction matters enormously. I have been practicing internal medicine for 20 years. I have sat across from patients who came to me after a serious diagnosis, and almost every single one said the same thing. Looking back, I knew something was wrong. I just thought I was being dramatic. You were not being dramatic. You were listening to your body. And today, I am going to teach you what those signals actually mean. Because most people never get this explanation. Now, real quick, if this is the kind of honest clinical information you have been searching for and not getting from a rushed 12-minute appointment, hit that subscribe button right now and tap the bell. I put out new videos every single week covering exactly what your doctor wants to tell you but never has time to. You deserve the full picture. Okay, let us get into this. Before we start, I want to know something. Drop a comment right now. How old are you? Just the number. 45, 58, 67, whatever it is. I read every single comment, and your age actually helps me understand which of these 7 signals is most relevant to you personally. Do it now while I keep talking. Let me tell you about a patient of mine. He was 61, semi-retired electrician, sharp guy, the kind of man who could diagnose a wiring problem by sound. He came to me not because he felt terrible. He came because his wife made him. She said he seemed different, slower, quieter. He was sleeping more. He had stopped finishing meals, and he had lost about 14 pounds over 4 months without trying to. He had seen his previous doctor twice during that stretch. Both times he was told his thyroid looked fine, his blood sugar was fine, and to maybe reduce stress. When I ordered a different panel, one specifically looking at inflammatory markers, absorption indicators, and a deeper metabolic workup, we found what we were actually dealing with. Early stage pancreatic dysfunction, caught while it was still manageable. He is doing well now. His wife calls me every Christmas. But here is what I need you to hear. That 14-pound weight loss, that subtle personality shift, that quiet feeling of off. Those were his body's early warning system, firing on all cylinders. The problem was not that his body was not communicating. The problem was that nobody had taught him what it was saying. That is what this video is for. Now stop for 1 second. Have you ever felt something like this? Weight dropping without trying? Something just feeling off, but tests came back normal? Drop yes or no in the comments right now. I want to see how many of you have been through this. Seriously, take 5 seconds and comment. I am not telling you this to frighten you. I am telling you because missing these signals does not just mean a harder diagnosis later. It can mean the difference between treating something and managing something for the rest of your life. It can mean losing the ability to drive yourself to your grandkids' soccer games. It can mean going from independent to dependent in a way that was completely preventable. And that is what we are here to stop. Number 7, and do not let the position fool you. This one quietly affects more Americans over 55 than any other item on this list. When you lose weight without trying, no diet change, no new exercise, no deliberate restriction, your first instinct might be relief. Good news on the scale, right? Wrong. Look, your body does not shed tissue randomly. It is an extraordinarily efficient machine. Every pound it releases without a caloric reason means something is consuming that energy internally, and that something needs to be identified. Here's the specific threshold. A loss of 5% of your body weight over a 6-month period without an intentional cause is classified medically as clinically significant unintentional weight loss. For a 180-pound person, that is just 9 pounds. That is not dramatic. That is easy to miss. A 2021 review in the American Journal of Medicine analyzed 12,000 patients who presented with unexplained weight loss and found that in 72% of cases, a significant underlying cause was identified, ranging from hyperthyroidism to malabsorption disorders to early-stage malignancies. Here is why your doctor may not have flagged it. The standard 3-question symptom intake at most primary care visits does not specifically screen for the rate of weight change. They ask, have you lost weight? Not, how many pounds? Over how many weeks? That is a meaningful clinical gap. Starting this week, weigh yourself on the same day, same time, same conditions, and track it. If you have dropped more than 8 to 10 pounds over the past few months without explanation, that is the specific number to bring to your doctor. Say this exactly. I have lost approximately X pounds over Y months without changing my diet or activity level. I want to rule out thyroid dysfunction, malabsorption, and any inflammatory processes. That specific language tells your doctor exactly where to look. My patient, a 64-year-old retired teacher named Carol, dismissed 11 pounds of weight loss over 5 months as finally getting healthy. When we investigated, it was a treatable thyroid condition that had been running unchecked for over a year. 3 months of targeted treatment and she had stabilized completely. Now, quick question for you. Have you or someone you love ever experienced unexplained weight loss? Drop the number 1 in the comments if yes. Drop the number 2 if no. Takes literally 2 seconds, and it tells me whether I need to go even deeper on this topic in a future video. And number 6, this is where it gets really interesting, because it is one that most people have experienced, and almost nobody takes seriously. Number 6, a fever that just will not fully go away. Now I want to be precise here, because this is where people make a critical mistake. I am not talking about a 103-degree fever that puts you in bed. I am talking about a temperature that sits at 99.1 or 99.4 day after day with no clear infection, no obvious cold, no flu. Maybe you barely even notice it. You just feel slightly warm, slightly fatigued, slightly off. That persistent, low-grade fever is your immune system telling you it is fighting something and losing. Your hypothalamus, the brain's internal thermostat, only raises your body temperature under one instruction: pyrogens, chemical signals released during immune activity. So if your temperature keeps nudging above baseline, something is generating those signals. The question is, what? A 2023 study in the Journal of Internal Medicine, 6,200 patients, average age 58, found that unresolved low-grade fever lasting more than 10 days was associated with an underlying diagnosable condition in 81% of cases. Infections the body had not fully cleared. Autoimmune activity. Occult inflammatory processes. In some cases, early lymphatic involvement. In my honest opinion, persistent low-grade fever is the most underreported symptom in American medicine, because patients feel like they have to be dramatically sick to mention it. If you are upright and functioning, you assume you are fine. That assumption has consequences. Take your temperature at the same time every morning for 7 consecutive days. Normal is 97.8 to 99.0 Fahrenheit, depending on time of day. If you are consistently sitting above 99.1 across that week without a clear acute illness, bring that 7-day chart to your doctor. And ask specifically for a comprehensive metabolic panel alongside a CRP and ESR test. Those are inflammatory markers. That is where you start. I know this can feel like a lot of information. That is completely normal. The medical system has not made it easy to connect these dots yourself. That is part of why I make these videos. Now right here, pause for 2 seconds. If you have not subscribed yet and you are finding this information useful, hit that subscribe button right now. Because what I am about to share in the next 4 signs is where it gets really serious. And you do not want to miss it. Subscribe, tap the bell, and let us keep going. Number 5. And I need you to ask yourself honestly, are activities that used to feel easy now leaving you winded? Not marathon level exertion. Walking up a flight of stairs. Carrying groceries from the car to the kitchen. Getting up from the couch and walking to the mailbox. If those activities are now producing breathlessness that was not happening 18 months ago, that is a clinical change, not a fitness problem. Your cardiovascular and pulmonary systems have enormous reserve capacity. Think of it like a highway. Even when traffic doubles, the highway handles it because it was built with extra lanes. The moment everyday activities start stressing that system, it means the reserve lanes are gone. Something has been quietly consuming capacity. Here is what that something can be. And this is where people are often surprised, because it is not always heart or lung disease. A 2024 analysis in Circulation found that new onset exertional breathlessness in adults over 50 was attributed to cardiac causes in 38% of cases, but to anemia in 21%, to deconditioning secondary to subclinical illness in 19%, and to early pulmonary hypertension in 11%. That means if you walk into a doctor's office with this symptom, There are four major categories to investigate, not one. Here is a simple home benchmark I give my patients. Climb one flight of stairs, 10 to 12 steps, at a normal pace. Stop at the top if you need more than 30 seconds to feel completely normal again, or if you feel your heart working harder than the effort warrants, that is worth documenting and discussing. Ask your doctor for an echocardiogram if breathlessness is new, progressive, or comes with any chest pressure. Also ask for a complete blood count, specifically to rule out anemia, which is far more common in adults over 55 than most people realize, and far more treatable than most people fear. Well, to be more precise, ask for a ferritin level alongside the CBC. Standard iron tests miss functional iron deficiency. Ferritin catches it. Number 4. And I will be straightforward with you. This is the sign people are most reluctant to mention. To their friends, to their family, and especially to their doctor. But your gut is one of the most sensitive early warning systems your body has. And it does not lie. Here's what I mean by persistent change. Because this is important. I am not talking about one bad day after a restaurant meal. I am talking about a shift in your normal that has held for 3 or more weeks, going significantly, more or less, often. Stool consistency or color that has changed and stayed changed. A persistent, bloated feeling that is not connected to specific foods. That sensation, which patients describe as never feeling completely empty. Your gut wall contains over 100 million neurons. It is literally called the second brain for a reason. It responds to systemic inflammation, hormonal shifts, microbiome disruption, and structural changes faster than almost any other organ. A 2022 study in gastroenterology, 9,800 patients, over 50, found that new onset, persistent bowel pattern changes had a diagnosable underlying cause in 76% of cases when properly investigated. The real problem here is not just the digestive issue itself. It is that conventional medicine has trained people to blame everything on stress, diet, or irritable bowel. A diagnosis that essentially means we are not sure yet. That is not always wrong, but it becomes dangerous when it stops further investigation. I have seen patients diagnosed with IBS who actually had early inflammatory bowel disease, or celiac disease, or in 2 cases I will never forget, something that required significantly more urgent attention. Keep a simple 2-week log. Timing, frequency, consistency. Any associated symptoms like urgency, bleeding, or discomfort, bring it to your doctor and specifically request a fecal calprotectin test. It is a non-invasive stool test that can detect intestinal inflammation, and it is far more informative than a standard stool culture. If you are over 45 and have not had a colonoscopy, this is the moment to stop postponing it. Your insurance covers it. All right, we are at the halfway point, and before I get to the top 3, because number 3 is the one I see most in my practice right now, and nobody is talking about it, I want to check in. Of everything I have shared so far, which sign have you personally experienced? Drop the number in the comments. 5, 6, or 7. Seriously, 5 seconds. It helps me understand what to cover more deeply in future videos. Number 3, I want you to pause on this one, because this is the sign I am seeing most frequently in patients right now. And it is the one almost nobody discusses until it has become undeniable. I am not talking about forgetting where you put your keys. I am talking about a quiet drift, difficulty holding a train of thought, mid-conversation, reaching for a word you have used 1,000 times, and finding it briefly gone. A feeling that processing is slightly slower, like your mental loading screen is taking an extra second, or a subtle personality shift that people close to you have noticed before you have. There is a meaningful clinical difference between normal, age-related slowing, which is real and expected, and neurological drift, which is a pattern of progressive change. The key word is progressive. If you are noticing that your thinking is consistently less sharp than it was 12 months ago, that progression is what matters. A 2023 study from the Alzheimer's Association found that measurable, mild cognitive impairment begins on average 7 to 10 years before it becomes clinically diagnosable by standard criteria. 7 to 10 years. During that entire window, the brain is sending signals that most standard appointments never formally assess. Here is what can drive early cognitive drift. And this is where people are often surprised, because many causes are highly treatable. Subclinical hypothyroidism, B12 deficiency, which affects an estimated 1 in 6 adults over 60 and is almost never routinely screened for. Sleep apnea, which disrupts the brain's glymphatic cleaning system. The mechanism that literally flushes toxins out of neural tissue overnight. Elevated homocysteine levels. Chronic low-grade systemic inflammation. I will be honest with you. I was wrong about this for years early in my career. I treated cognitive complaints in patients under 65 as anxiety or normal aging far more often than I should have. It took seeing the research on reversible causes stack up over a decade before I completely changed my approach. Now it is the first thing I investigate, not the last. Ask your doctor specifically for B12 level with methylmalonic acid to confirm cellular uptake. TSH with free T4. Homocysteine and a CRP. Also, if someone who lives with you or knows you well has commented that you seem different or slower, take that seriously. They are often seeing what you cannot see yourself. Now, right here, I want to ask you something personal. Have you or someone you love noticed any kind of mental slowdown lately? Any brain fog? Any memory that feels just a little off? Drop the word brain in the comments right now. If you have experienced this, just that one word, brain. I read every comment, and if I see enough of those, I am going to make an entire dedicated video on this topic next week. Number 2. And when I describe this, I want you to think honestly about whether this has been happening to you. You sit down to eat. You are genuinely hungry. You take 5 or 6 bites, and your body says, done. Not satisfied, not comfortably full, just done. A mild nausea, a pressure, a signal that the meal is over before it logically should be. That is early satiety, and it is not a minor inconvenience. It is your stomach telling you that its ability to stretch, fill, and empty is compromised. Your stomach has stretch receptors that communicate fullness signals to your brain. When those receptors are triggered, Too early, it means either the stomach is not physically expanding correctly, or the nerve signaling between stomach and brain, primarily through the vagus nerve, is misfiring. A 2021 paper in neurogastroenterology and motility identified vagal dysfunction as a contributing factor in early satiety in over 40% of cases studied. And vagal dysfunction is itself a marker for broader systemic issues, including autonomic neuropathy, which can be an early sign of poorly controlled blood sugar. My patient, Barbara, 66, came to me because she had lost 17 pounds over 6 months. She said she just was not hungry. When I specifically asked about early fullness, she lit up. Yes, that exactly. 2 bites, and she was done. That response led us to a delayed gastric emptying diagnosis, and then to the underlying cause. She had undetected diabetic autonomic neuropathy for what we estimated to be almost 2 years. If this pattern has lasted more than 3 weeks, especially if it comes with any nausea, bloating, or unexplained weight loss, ask your doctor about a gastric emptying study. It is non-invasive. It is accurate, and it can identify gastroparesis before it creates serious nutritional deficits. Also specifically ask, could this be related to blood sugar regulation or autonomic function? That question will change the direction of the conversation. And number 1, this is the one I saved for last. Because this is the single signal that in 20 years of practice I have seen most consistently overlooked. And it is something you can check right now, today, without a single medical test. Number 1, changes in your skin, nails, or hair that have no obvious cause. Your skin is the largest organ in your body. Your nails are a direct window into your circulatory, nutritional, and systemic health. And yet, when these things change, most people either blame aging, or they see a dermatologist who addresses the surface without investigating what is underneath. Here are the specific changes that matter. New or deepening darkness in skin folds, under the arms, at the back of the neck, in the groin area. This is called acanthosis nigricans. It is one of the most reliable early visual markers of insulin resistance. A 2020 CDC-affiliated study found it present in over 60% of pre-diabetic patients who had not yet been diagnosed. Horizontal ridged lines across the nails, called Bowes lines. These indicate that nail growth was interrupted. Nail growth requires consistent circulation and nutrition. When it stops, it means your body went through a significant internal stressor. When those lines appear across multiple nails simultaneously, that stressor was systemic. Unexpected hair thinning, particularly diffuse thinning across the crown, rather than a hairline. This is one of the clearest early indicators of thyroid dysfunction, iron deficiency, or significant hormonal disruption, not pattern baldness, diffuse, even thinning across the top, yellowing in the whites of the eyes, even a subtle tinge. That means bilirubin is accumulating. That is a liver or bile duct signal that requires same-week evaluation. Look, these signals are visible. You can see them in the mirror. You do not need a lab, a copay, or an appointment to notice them. Your body is writing messages on its own surface, and it has been doing this long before anything internal reaches a threshold a blood test catches. Stand in good lighting, natural light if possible, and look, check your nail beds for ridging, pitting, or unusual color changes. Check skin fold areas for darkening. Check the whites of your eyes. If you see any of these, photograph them with your phone for date reference. And bring that photo to your next appointment. Say specifically, "This changed approximately X weeks ago. I want to understand what is causing it systemically, not just address the surface." Okay, here is the part you actually came for. You now have the information. Here is what you do with it. Step 1. Tonight, write down every symptom from this list that you have experienced in the last 6 months. Not every single one has to be present. Even one, if it is persistent, matters. Date when you first noticed it. That timeline is clinical information. Step 2. This week, start tracking 3 things daily. Weight, same time, same conditions. Morning temperature, and energy on a 1 to 10 scale. 7 days of data is more useful to your doctor than 7 minutes of memory. Step 3. Next doctor visit. Do not say, "I have been feeling off." Say specifically, "I want to discuss unintentional weight change, a possible inflammatory process, and I would like to request a comprehensive metabolic panel, CBC with differential, ferritin, B12 with methylmalonic acid, TSH with free T4, CRP, and homocysteine." Print that list. Hand it to your doctor. That is the panel that catches what standard routine blood work misses. Step 4. 30 days. If you have made dietary and sleep changes alongside this investigation within 30 days, you should notice either stabilization of the symptoms, or if something significant is present, you will have begun the diagnostic process early enough to matter. Step 5. Long term. The lifestyle anchor that sustains everything else. 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Consistent, not excessive, movement. And a diet that reduces processed seed oils and refined carbohydrates. Not a fad. Not a supplement pyramid. Just those 3 pillars. They directly influence 5 of the 7 warning signs we discussed today. Here is something I need to say directly. These symptoms are not just getting older. That phrase, that dismissal, that is the biggest medical lie sold to Americans over 60. Your body has an extraordinary capacity to stabilize, recover, and function at a high level well into your 70s and 80s when it gets what it actually needs. I have watched patients in their late 60s reverse pre-diabetic markers, resolve chronic fatigue, and regain cognitive sharpness within 90 days of proper intervention. Do not let anyone, including a rushed 12-minute appointment, convince you that decline is inevitable. It is not. Not when you catch things early. Not when you know what to look for. Remember what I said at the very start of this video, that your body begins sending warning signals months before any standard test picks up a problem. Now you know exactly what those signals look like, and more importantly, you know what to do. Here is your quick recap. Sign number 7, unexplained weight loss, track rate of change, ask for a metabolic workup. Sign number 6, persistent low-grade fever, 7-day temperature chart, request CRP and ESR. Sign number 5, new exertional breathlessness, stare test at home, request echo, and ferritin. Sign number 4, persistent bowel pattern change, 2-week symptom log. Ask for fecal calprotectin. Sign number 3, cognitive drift, request B12, TSH, homocysteine. Take family observations seriously. Sign number 2, early satiety. Ask about gastric emptying study. Investigate blood sugar regulation. Sign number 1. Skin, nail, hair changes. Photograph. Date. Bring to appointment. Ask about systemic cause. You now have the information and the exact language to walk into your doctor's office and advocate for yourself. Most people who sit in that waiting room do not have this. You do now. Use it. One more thing before I let you go. Drop one word in the comments right now. If this video gave you something real, something you needed, whether it is clarity, direction, or just the reassurance that you were right to pay attention. Drop the word ready. That one word tells me this video did its job, and if you are still here, if you watched this far, then you already know this channel is different. This is not general wellness content. This is clinical information, delivered straight, no filter, no sugarcoating. Just what you deserve to know. If that is what you are looking for, subscribe right now. Hit the bell. Because my next video covers 5 medications that over 40% of Americans over 55 are taking right now, that are silently depleting nutrients your heart and your brain depend on. I actually changed my own supplement protocol after reviewing this data last year. And I have not told anyone on this channel yet. You are going to want to see that. I will see you there. This video is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always consult with your physician or a qualified healthcare provider before making any changes to your health regimen.